Welcome to the channel. I'm Jimmy Kimmel to Gold, and this is Jimmy Kimmel. Before we dive into today's story, I need you to do something. Hit that subscribe button right now. Turn on notifications. This channel brings you the geopolitical analysis that mainstream media won't touch. Drop a comment below with your thoughts and share this video with everyone who needs to see it. Today, we're covering three interconnected stories that reveal the chaotic state of American foreign policy and domestic politics. First, the Trump administration's bizarre obsession with acquiring Greenland has escalated into an international incident. Second, newly released transcripts show Senator Lindsey Graham admitted under oath that Trump knew he lost the 2020 election. Third, the FCC chairman testified before Congress about threatening television broadcasters. These aren't isolated events. They're symptoms of a deeper crisis in American democracy. We're broadcasting from Los Angeles, which will host the 2028 Summer Olympics. Ticket registration opened today, though the Games are still 2.5 years away. It's a reminder of when America was still seen as a destination, not a country people are fleeing. Let's begin. For the first time in 50 years, net migration in the United States has turned negative. Last year, approximately 300,000 more people left America than entered it. This morning, the State Department announced they're suspending immigrant visa processing from 75 countries. America was once the most desired destination on earth. Now we're watching a historic reversal. The numbers tell a stark story. Decades of positive migration have ended. The American dream that attracted millions is fading. People who built lives here are leaving. Those who wanted to come are choosing other destinations. This isn't just about policy changes. It's about America's global reputation collapsing in real time. The suspension of visa processing affects countries across multiple continents. Families are being separated. Students can't pursue education. Workers can't access opportunities. Meanwhile, the administration celebrates these restrictions as victories. They frame population decline as success. They ignore the economic consequences. They dismiss the human cost. Against this backdrop of declining global influence, the Trump administration has launched a campaign to acquire Greenland. The foreign ministers from Greenland and Denmark met with J.D. Vance and Marco Rubio today. The meetings were tense. The Danish foreign minister stated they have a fundamental disagreement and agreed to disagree. But the Prime Minister of Greenland was more direct. Trump announced he will take action on Greenland whether they like it or not. The Prime Minister responded with absolute clarity. Greenland does not want to be owned by the United States. Greenland does not want to be governed by the United States. Greenland will not be part of the United States. This is not a negotiation. It's a rejection. The Prime Minister is mute egede. He delivered his message wearing traditional Greenlandic attire. His stance was unambiguous. His country is not for sale. Yet the Trump administration continues pushing. They ignore basic diplomatic norms. They disregard sovereignty. They treat independent nations as real estate transactions. The Prime Minister making these statements is a former professional athlete. Before entering politics, he represented Greenland internationally. He understands what sovereignty means. He knows his people don't want American control. This isn't about misunderstanding or poor communication. It's about fundamental disagreement. Greenland has its own government, its own culture, its own future. Meanwhile, Americans increasingly don't want to be part of America. The World Happiness Report ranks Denmark second globally, behind only Finland. Denmark maintains authority over Greenland's foreign affairs. The United States ranks 24th. We're below Slovenia, a country many Americans couldn't locate on a map. The contrast is striking. Nations we're trying to acquire are happier than we are. Countries we claim to liberate don't want our involvement. People we promise freedom are rejecting our offers. The irony is completely lost on the administration. They pursue expansion while presiding over decline. They promise greatness while delivering chaos. Trump has reportedly assigned Marco Rubio to develop a plan for purchasing Greenland. The Secretary of State is now functioning as a real estate agent. This represents a fundamental misunderstanding of international relations. Countries aren't properties. Sovereignty isn't negotiable. People aren't assets to be acquired. Yet here we are. The administration treats foreign policy like a property transaction. They discuss purchasing nations like buying buildings. They negotiate sovereignty like closing business deals. Polls show only 1 in 5 Americans support acquiring Greenland. The public doesn't want this. Our allies are embarrassed. The international community is bewildered. Still, the administration persists. Perhaps there's a different explanation. Maybe this is deliberate distraction. While everyone focuses on Greenland, other issues disappear from headlines. The Epstein files remain unreleased. Those documents might reveal uncomfortable connections. They might expose powerful people. They might change narratives. So instead, we discuss Arctic real estate. We debate sovereignty violations. We ignore what matters. The distraction works perfectly. America currently operates at peak hypocrisy. We violently suppress domestic protests while warning other nations against doing the same. We lecture countries about democracy while undermining our own institutions. We demand other governments respect dissent while criminalizing it at home. The contradiction is staggering. Trump campaigned on America first. He promised to stop nation building. He criticized foreign interventions. He condemned regime change operations. That was the platform. That was the promise. Now, the opposite is happening. We're involved in multiple countries. We're threatening regimes. We're planning interventions. The supporters who believe the campaign rhetoric are left explaining the reversals. Oklahoma Senator Mark Wayne Mullen recently demonstrated this confusion perfectly. When asked about regime change, he couldn't maintain a consistent position for 30 seconds. He supports strikes, but not regime change. He wants to remove regimes, but let people decide. He'll target leaders, but not change governments. The logic collapses under basic questioning. This is what happens when ideology meets reality. Senator Mullen stated he supports strikes against Iran. He opposes regime change, but he wants to remove the regime because they're killing their own people. So he'll target regime members. But regime change belongs to the Iranian people, except he'll actively remove regime members who happen to be the regime. The circular reasoning is dizzying. This represents the intellectual bankruptcy of current foreign policy. There's no coherent strategy, no consistent principle, no logical framework, just reactions and contradictions. These are the people making life and death decisions. They sit on armed services committees. They authorize military action. They determine America's global role. And they can't articulate basic positions. They contradict themselves mid-sentence. They reverse positions while speaking. They abandon logic entirely. This is the quality of leadership shaping American foreign policy. These are the minds crafting strategy. This is who represents us globally. The world watches. The world listens. The world draws conclusions about American competence and credibility. Those conclusions aren't favorable. Yesterday, President Trump toured a Ford plant in Detroit. A worker confronted him, calling him a pedophile protector. Trump responded by cursing at the worker and giving him the middle finger. Photographers captured the moment. The image shows Trump, finger extended, face contorted in anger. This happened during an official presidential visit at an American manufacturing facility in front of cameras and workers. The profanity, the gesture, the complete loss of composure. This is the President of the United States. The same day, Trump held what was announced as an MLK event. It wasn't about Martin Luther King Jr., it was about milk, whole milk specifically. Trump spent the event discussing milk that had been sitting on his desk for 5 days. He explained the definition of whole milk. He clarified it's spelled with a W. He emphasized this point repeatedly. Cabinet members surrounded him. They nodded seriously. They treated this as important presidential business. This is what passes for governance now. During another event focused on children's health, Trump appeared to fall asleep. Cameras captured him nodding off while others spoke. His eyes closed, his head drooped. He remained motionless. Eventually, he stirred. He nodded at appropriate moments. But the footage is clear. The president fell asleep during an official event. In any other presidency, this might dominate coverage for weeks. Now it barely registers. We've normalized the abnormal. We've accepted the unacceptable. We've lowered standards so far, they've disappeared entirely. The bar for presidential behavior no longer exists. Each incident that should be disqualifying becomes just another day. Each scandal that should end careers is forgotten by evening. Each violation that should matter doesn't. This is the new normal. This is American governance. This is what we've accepted, and it's getting worse. Because without consequences, behavior escalates. Without accountability, standards vanish. Without oversight, power corrupts completely. We're watching it happen in real time. Now, for the most significant story, the New York Times reviewed transcripts from Senator Lindsey Graham's sworn grand jury testimony in Georgia. Graham testified about his conversations with Trump after the 2020 election. Under oath, he stated he repeatedly told Trump he lost the election. Trump refused to accept reality. Graham said Trump would believe anything, even that Martians stole votes. This is crucial. Graham knew Trump lost. He told Trump he lost. He testified under oath about these conversations. Yet publicly, Graham said the opposite. On television, he declared Trump had not lost. He urged Trump not to concede. He encouraged fighting the results. He supported the false claims. So we have two Lindsey Grahams, the private Graham who knows truth, the public Graham who lies, the sworn testimony Graham, the television Graham. They contradict completely. They serve different purposes. One protects Graham legally, one protects him politically. This isn't unique to Graham. It's the pattern across Republican leadership. The contradiction is total. Graham on television claiming Trump won. Graham under oath admitting Trump lost. Graham publicly supporting election challenges. Graham privately acknowledging their falseness. Graham encouraging Trump to fight. Graham telling prosecutors he tried stopping Trump. Every position has its opposite. Every statement has its contradiction. Every public claim has a private reversal. This is strategic duplicity. Graham protects himself legally while maintaining political support. He tells prosecutors truth while telling voters lies. He gives sworn testimony one way while giving interviews another. The calculation is obvious. Legal jeopardy requires honesty. Political survival requires loyalty. Graham chooses both by splitting himself. This works because consequences don't apply anymore. Perjury would normally destroy careers. Lying to the public would normally end political life. Contradicting yourself under oath would normally mean prison, but not now. Not for them. Graham faces no consequences. He maintains his Senate seat. He keeps his influence. He suffers nothing. This brings us to Brendan Carr, chairman of the Federal Communications Commission. In September, Carr threatened television broadcasters for airing content he disliked. He specifically targeted late-night television. He suggested revoking broadcast licenses. He implied regulatory retaliation. This represents direct government censorship. The FCC chairman threatening broadcasters over content. This morning, Carr testified before the House Energy and Commerce Subcommittee. Republican members asked nothing about the threats. They ignored the First Amendment issues. They pretended nothing happened. Democratic members pressed him. Congresswoman Yvette Clarke from New York was particularly direct. She noted Carr's threats against broadcasters. She referenced Senator Cruz comparing Carr's tactics to mafia movies. She stated clearly there are no tough guys here, only pretenders. The comparison landed. Carr offered no real defense. He provided no justification. He simply endured the criticism because, again, no consequences follow. He keeps his position. He maintains his power. He continues his threats. The administration is also targeting PBS. Trump pushed Congress to defund the Corporation for Public Broadcasting. Last week, the CPB board voted to dissolve itself. Many believe this meant PBS would disappear. It doesn't. PBS continues operating. But the confusion served a purpose. It created fear. It demonstrated power. It showed what's possible. PBS responded on social media. They clarified they're still broadcasting. They listed their programs: Masterpiece Theater, Sesame Street, NewsHour, Austin City Limits, decades of Ken Burns documentaries, Antiques, Roadshow, Finding Your Roots. They emphasized they remain on air. They urged people to check local listings. They insisted they're still here, for now. But the message was sent. Public broadcasting lives on borrowed time. The administration wants it gone. They'll keep trying. They'll keep cutting. They'll keep threatening until they succeed. This is about controlling information, eliminating independent voices, ensuring only approved narratives survive. These stories connect. The Greenland obsession, the Graham testimony, the FCC threats, the PBS attacks. They're all symptoms of the same disease. Authoritarian impulses unchecked by institutional resistance. The pattern is clear. Assert power regardless of law. Lie to the public regardless of oath. Threaten critics regardless of constitution. Acquire territory regardless of sovereignty. The administration pushes boundaries constantly, testing what's possible, measuring resistance, calculating costs. So far, costs are minimal. Resistance is weak. Possibilities seem endless. Republicans who know better stay silent. Democrats who object lack power. Institutions that should check don't. Media that should expose can't. We're watching democratic norms collapse, real time, on camera, in public, with full documentation. Yet it continues, it accelerates, it normalizes, because normalization is the goal. Make the outrageous routine, make the illegal standard, make the unconstitutional accepted. Then nothing restrains power, nothing limits authority, nothing protects citizens. We've covered the administration's attempt to acquire Greenland against its people's will. We've examined Lindsey Graham's sworn testimony proving he knew Trump lost in 2020. We've detailed the FCC chairman's threats against broadcasters. These aren't separate issues. They're unified symptoms of democratic collapse. Sovereignty doesn't matter. Truth doesn't matter. Free speech doesn't matter. Only power matters. Only loyalty matters. Only submission matters. This is the America we're becoming, not the America we were promised, not the America we imagined, the America we're actively creating through apathy and acceptance. If you found this analysis valuable, subscribe to Jimmy Kimmel to Gold right now. Hit that notification bell. We need independent voices more than ever. Comment below with your thoughts on these developments. Share this video with everyone who needs to understand what's happening. The erosion of democracy isn't abstract anymore. It's documented. It's provable, it's accelerating, and no one seems capable of stopping it. The question isn't whether things will get worse. The question is how much worse and whether anything will remain to salvage when this era finally ends.